Hello, beautiful souls. Why do I do this all the time? I'm like, hello. Welcome to day 110 of Facebook Live. My name is Jessica Lozano, and I am a women's relationship and feminine embodiment mentor, and I help women have extraordinary love lives. So, today, I'm going to talk to you about the underworld of manifesting the love of a lifetime. This is a big part. And anytime we're wanting something in our life, especially when there's something really big in our life that we have not been able to accomplish, to have, to hold, because this level of desire is so big and so strong that sometimes when we haven't mastered a certain level of the surrender of this whole process, it can feel very heavy, and it can feel like we are not receiving what we want. And it can feel as if the world is against us, as if you are doing all this work, which is so beautiful, so powerful. You are improving, you're feeling better. Life is feeling great. But then in the absence of what you really desire, the love of a lifetime, it can feel heavy and dark, really heavy and really dark. Especially as you are working through it, and really focusing on staying focused on what you desire, that something can trigger you to the place of deep anger, deep resentment, deep injustice, unfairness for why you haven't received what you are so courageously working towards. This is the underworld of manifesting anything, but in this specific conversation, manifesting love. This is actually a very important piece. Let me put this over here. Been feeling like I wanted to sit very cozy. Oh, that doesn't look right. Let me see. Over here. Okay, I'm getting my new chair soon, so that cracking sound that you hear won't be there anymore. Okay. For now, we're just gonna have to roll with it. Okay. This is a really important part of the manifestation process, because it is one of those drop to your knees moment of where a lot of things that you've been maybe not wanting to see or not wanting to go to start to come up, really start to come up. The parts of like anger, sadness, unfairness, injustice that you have been working towards, not maybe paying attention to it or focusing or really doing the focusing on what you really desire, that, which is a great practice. It's a great art. It is part of manifesting. It is part of calling in what you desire, is focusing on what you want. Okay, something comes up, we work through that, and then boom, we continue to focus. And when there's something that we really desire, that we have not been wanting, something that we really desire, really desire, and it's been one of those things that has been so hard for you to actually manifest, like love, like sacred union love. How do I want to word this? Let me find the words to it. What is happening is you're going through a very powerful initiation in order to be at the highest frequency to hold and to have this, which comes with a lot of these energies that you are actively breaking down as you're moving towards this, right? And there's a lot of equal, I want to say, pain that has to get felt and worked through. And what is being called to you, what's being called to your attention is almost like this feeling of not needing to have it hold it all together. Because there is this, when you go into the underworld of manifestation, right? When you get to that place where you start to feel the deep, dark emotions and feelings that are still there about said subject, love, there is a moment. Well, number one, you are alchemizing all these things as feeling it, because there's a lot of sorrow in the emptiness of it that still needs to get processed, that holding the light isn't enough. You have to go down into this underworld. But the other part of that is this fall to your knees moment where it's like this opening. What's available for you in this moment is this fall to the knees moment of ultimate deep surrender, because you allow yourself to go down to the depths of the sorrow and anger of not having it, and disappointment, and all the stories attached to it. Oh my God, look, I think there's I think I have a white hair. Look at that. Is that a white hair? What is that? Or is that just something in my hair? I think that's something in my hair. The deep sorrow, pain, and the deep sorrow, the deep pain, the anger, all of those things that are also equally attached to your inner child, right? A lot of these things are the inner child that has not been fully felt. And is wanting to be felt. And the only way to get to the deep-seated pain of her is to go down into the underworld, to be cracked open even deeper. To be cracked open to a different level, to be obliterated by your own love, because you have held yourself through that entire process. This is a very important process of this, the underworld. Because in the underworld is where you hold and you give yourself this deep unconditional love, and where you reconcile your relationship with God, with the universe, with Mother Creatrix. Because in this moment, when you fall to your knees and you get to that point of what it feels like despair, what it feels like, I'm working so hard, why isn't this happening to me? Where is this? And you allow yourself to get down to those depths. There is something spiritual that happens. There is something spiritual that happens as you hold yourself through that. Love yourself unconditionally with all the hate and anger that you feel towards whatever it is, towards the lover, towards God, towards your parents, towards whatever it is. There's something spiritual that happens when these energies are fully and deeply held. Because when you go down into the underworld, you get rebirth back up, right? So we don't want to stay always down into the underworld. So this is why when something comes up, you move it through and you stay up here. Something comes up, you move it through and you stay up here. But then there comes this piece of the up and removing that is so deep seated that has to get hit. It's like the iceberg that keeps chipping away, and then what comes up is this like beyond harder than the iceberg top. Like there's like metal in there that needs to get moved through. This is what we're talking about when we're getting into the underworld of this. It's this really deep like metal that gets hit there, where it requires your ultimate surrender of feeling what it is: anger, hate, despair, injustice, unfairness. Like, am I even worthy of this, right? Is this even going to happen to me in my life? All of those self-doubt, all of it. It's like a surrender to that, because there's only so much that we can actually hold until we have to surrender. And in that surrender, you get deeper connected with yourself, and you get deeper connected to your divine, to your source, to all of the things that happen in that space, to then really open up to faith and love, because there's nothing else left there besides love and faith. Because you went all the way down to the nook and the cranny of it, and you saw the level of unworthiness that the real root of it all is there. The real root of it all is there. And part of this in the manifestation process, part of the reason why we have to go down to those really dark, deep depths, is because in the manifestation, we are always wanting instant gratification. This is part of the conversation. So it's like a twofold. Number one, getting down to those really deep parts, because that's like what we have to do. But what comes from that, what's really at the really bottom of this root thing, is that prove to me this energy of like, I need something outside of me to show me that I am worthy of this, that I'm deserving of this, that I can have this, and I need to see it now. That's what's all the way down at the bottom. That's like the main thing. Because when we're manifesting, if we haven't learned to really know that where we are is exactly where we need to be, which is sometimes the hardest pill to swallow, because we want that thing so bad. We want the money so bad. We want the lover so bad. We want the body so bad that when we want it so bad that we want something to show us right away that we're doing it right. And the minute that something triggers us, like somebody else has more money, somebody has the partner that you want, there's a conversation that triggers you, there's maybe you're just going about your day and you don't feel that partner there. It's like, well, I've worked so hard for this. So there's this thing right there at the bottom that is just like, see, I told you weren't worthy. It's like that last little bit that you got to scratch, that last little bit that you got to clean up, that hard freaking metal that says, you see, you don't need to do all this work. You'll be fine alone. You don't need a man. What's the point? Where is he? You've been doing this for how long and he's not here? Why keep doing it? Why? You're fine alone. Look at what you created all by yourself. Then that is that deep-seated thing down here that wants that instant gratification, that is tied in to unworthiness, undeserving, not enoughness to actually have what you want. Because once you love that part through, once you surrender into that, into all the anger behind that, all the anger, all the sadness, all the injustice, all the unfairness, all the things behind that really hooked in like a fish thing, like a fish hook. And you're like, oh my God, wow, this is what it was. This is what it was. This is what it was. And you feel it, and you work all the way down to the worthiness and deserving that you are. And you see that you are. What comes after that is this feeling of deep love, unconditional love for exactly where you are. And also, it's like an acceptance of where you are. And it creates an opening because there's no longer a rush to have. Not that it creates an opening. There's no longer a rush to have the thing, to have the love. Because that level of innate worthiness that is born, that is rebirth after this death portal that you've gone through, from going into the underground, feeling that, that thing that's right there on the bottom that's telling you, see, why are you doing this? See, you're not worth it. See, you're undeserving. See, you're not enough. You can just be by yourself. You can just be by yourself. You can't trust men. No man's going to come to save you. No man is going to do anything for you. So what? You're going to build a life now? You already created your life. You already have your fucking children. You're too old. That part. Once you get all the way down to those really deep-seated beliefs that are way down there, like that last root, nook, and cranny, that's the death portal that you're gone through. That down into the underground, going up to be rebirthed, is where you feel this deep level of worthiness and deep level of enoughness, because that's what has to be rebirthed after that. After the winter comes the spring. So you will be rebirthed. Some days it takes a while, but you will be rebirthed. And you will be penetrated by the truth because you finally created space for that. So then the rebirth process, you feel that. You feel your innate worthiness. You feel that where I am now is exactly where I need to be. And you continue to move forward towards your desire in a way that is more grounded and not needing the instant gratification. And I'm enjoying every single part of the process here. I'm enjoying this whole entire thing because I'm going to date really well. I'm going to date with fun. I'm going to date and have, be open to it. I'm going to continue to go for my soul-led guidances, my soul-led business, my soul-led all the things, my body, all of the things. And I know and I trust that this person's going to come into my life and it's just going to really line up so beautifully. And I'm not even going to know that it's happening when it's happening until I realize, like, oh my God, this is what I've been wanting this whole entire time. Right? That is what happens. That is what the underworld does for us. Allows you to clear the debris and sometimes a really hard hooked in fish hook type of thoughts and beliefs. It's a surrendering. It's like this falling to your knees moment where you have to spiritually connect with yourself. You have to connect with that inner child. You have to connect with your higher self and with whatever you believe in. God, Mother Creatrix, universe, divine source, your spirit guides, whatever. To feel so utterly held, so unconditionally loved through all of this anger, pain, and sadness. To come out and say, I have been worthy this whole entire time. I have been deserving. I have been enough. Who I am is enough. And I can see where I am is exactly where I need to be. And I don't need the partner to show me that I'm worthy, because I already know I am worthy. And I know when he comes in, it's just going to happen. And I'm really excited when that comes, and I'm just going to continue to live my life with that open space for the love of my life to come through, with that open space for him to come through, trusting that just as I'm on my path to magnetizing him, he's on his path to finding me. And I don't need to do anything because all the pieces will just fall into place. What I need to do is just continuing to becoming the woman that I so greatly want to be because I love myself that much. And as I continue to do this, he's just gonna slide into my life like that. As I continue to do this, as I continue to show up for me, he'll be there. He'll be there. And it's gonna be the greatest love story of my life. This I know, and this I trust. Some of the things that is the hardest for us to manifest or to really call into our lives are the greatest character building paths that we will go through. The greatest character building paths that we will go through. It really will fortify who you are and how to lead yourself and how to be in your full feminine embodiment. Not even your feminine embodiment, your sacred union embodiment. To move through this. There's a deep lesson here. The things that are the hardest for us to manifest are things that have one of the biggest lessons of your life. Biggest lessons of your life. I walked through the fire with my ex-fiance. For 2 years, I integrated my truth. Then Ron came in 3 months later. The other thing in my life that has been the hardest thing for me to manifest is the money that I so desire. And with that has come some of the hardest lessons in my life. And also because I've done past life readings and things like that, there's a lot of energy entangled via lifetimes of my own relationship to money. My own relationship to money. Really very, very, very strong beliefs. And once I had to go down almost to ground zero to rebuild that. And on the process of rebuilding it, doing all this work, getting better, really falling in love with life, developing myself as a woman, developing my character when it comes to my relationship with money, healing my relationship with money, being grateful for the money that I have, all the things, building my business, and having to really get part-time jobs that I never in my wildest dream would have thought I would have to do after building myself up so high in my personal training career, to go back down to the bottom. And I remember hitting this point of calling in more money where it was like this deep-seated anger with God, with life. I was like, when is it going to be my turn? Feeling that deep anger of like, when is it going to be my turn? Going all the way down into the underworld, feeling those deep-seated pains of unworthiness of like, this is never going to happen for me. This is like all of that despair. And then when I came back up, while I held myself through that, okay, it wasn't this crying and then a hardening into myself. It was a crying and then a softening into myself, holding myself through that, feeling myself through it, going through the rages of it. And then that created the path to be penetrated with the truth of God, with the truth of light, with my own truth, with my highest self. And it's like, I'm exactly where I need to be. Just keep moving forward, 1 foot in gratitude, 1 foot in desire, as Melanie Ann Layer loves to say. And I love this one. It's like, okay, I'm holding my foot in gratitude, really anchoring that foot in gratitude. And that other foot is up high in desire. And then one day that desire foot gets planted, like, oh my God, here it is. Yay. It's like, and then the other one up. So I continued to move forward in my life when it came to this area of money from this place of, it's going to happen one day. It's going to happen one day. It's going to happen one day. And still feeling the like, fuck, man, why didn't this work? Or why didn't that work? Or whatever it is. Really listening to my intuitive pulses of who to hire, what program to take, what program I need to launch, the whole process through the launching process, right? All of this was part of how I learned about money and my own leadership, and showed myself that there's a lot of things that I still need to work on. And through all those years, finally, I would say in this year is where I started to really feel the benefits of that building and that building and that building of all of what I've worked through. Now, of all that I worked through, and feeling so grateful and grounded into it. So grateful and grounded into it. Of like, yes, here it is. And this level of grit, and this level of I love myself no matter what. Even in the moments of doubt, it's like, shit, am I ever gonna really have what I want? Well, how big is your conviction to your desire? You're going through a lot. You're breaking so much generational curses, and you're learning so much about yourself. You're learning so much. So I understand this underworld very much so. Very much so. Very much so. And I know through experience that it will come. It will come. And part of the underworld as women is a very important part of our birth, of our creation process of death and rebirth. Death and rebirth, death and rebirth, death and rebirth. This is an important cleansing process that we're doing, because when we are cleansing this with intention, we're cleansing this when we know what's happening, when we're cleansing this with what's happening in the underworld, we know that we're cleansing trauma. We are cleansing dysfunction. We are cleansing codependency. We are cleansing self-doubt. We are cleansing ancestral lines. We are cleansing all of these things. And then we are rebirthing a new timeline. We are rebirthing our truth. We are rebirthing into sovereignty. We are rebirthing a better world. I am rebirthing harmony, peace, all the things, joy, expansion, and also rebirthing what I want. And this underworld is a huge part of it. We can't skip this. You cannot skip the underworld when you're manifesting. This is part of the human experience. You have to do that. It can't be escaped. You can hold the light as much as you can. You can try to hold your high frequency, but if you're ignoring and you keep pushing down what is there, woo! It's going to come out in some other ways. So it's a part we cannot bypass. It's a part that's very uncomfortable. But once you've gone through it enough, you will realize like, oh yeah, I remember this. I remember this. I remember I went through it one time again this year. I feel like it was one of my last things, because it was one of my last things that there was a lot of ego attached to what I was creating. And then it showed me, it's like, Jessica, when you create from your ego, this is what happens. And it was a blind spot of mine. I didn't even really see it until after I went through with it, and I just felt like something doesn't feel right. And then I pulled the plug. And then I realized after going through this underworld exactly what it was. But when I go into the underworld, that was one of the most intense ones I've had recently. I understand that there's something that I'm going to learn once I come out to the other end. I have to really feel whatever is in the truth of the underworld. Knowing that what is coming through doesn't always mean that is really the highest truth. I had to just get radically honest. I think that's a better one. Just getting really honest with what is coming through in that moment. What it is the truth of what I'm feeling in that moment. But always remembering that feelings aren't always facts. Feelings aren't always facts. So that helps to not always get attached to it and be able to move through it without attachment so that you can get into the birthing side and see the truth of it all, to see the highest capital T truth of it all, right? Not the lower T truth of what's being expressed right now. Capital T truth. So I hope this helps. Talked a lot longer than I wanted to, but this is going to serve you so much when you understand that as a human being, we're going to have both our shadows and our lights. And when we have these really dense shadow expressions, some of them are very like a lighter shadow, like it's not very dense. It's like maybe kind of gray. Those are easy to walk through, but the really hard, dense shadows that are really dark, really sticky, really like your foot is in the mud, really hooked, like hooked in, some of those will feel very intense. And if you go through it with this thought of like, okay, this feels really intense and I'm going to completely surrender myself to it, knowing that I'm going to have an answer on the other side. I'm going to have an answer on the other side. I'm going to have an answer on the other side, whatever way that looks like for you, praying about it, moving your body, and just holding that truth, holding the capital T truth. There's an answer on the other side of this. I feel my lower T, whatever truth of what it is in the moment, and I'm always going to be looking for that light. This is how you don't stay in the underworld and then harden with what's happening in your life. But really, we only really harden when So this is how you don't harden. So anyways, I hope you had a beautiful day, or gonna have a beautiful day or whatever. Have a wonderful Friday night. And I will see you tomorrow.